I've shot on the Sony a7 IV for about 2 years now, and there are a lot of things I love about the camera, but there are also things that I hate about it. And in this video, I'm gonna go through all the pros and cons that I have personally experienced in the last 2 years of shooting with this camera alone. Starting off with what I really do love about this camera, it's an awesome hybrid camera, and if you don't know what a hybrid camera means, it just simply means it can do both video and photo really well, but it's not a master at one or the other. This camera has the ability to shoot 33 megapixel images, which is plenty enough for what I do, which is social media work, and it has the ability to shoot high resolution 4K video, 422 10-bit S-Log3, which that's a mouthful, but that is a really good quality video. That's normally what I shoot all my YouTube videos on. As far as the ergonomics are concerned, I have this completely disassembled from its cage and everything else I have on it, like the lens. This fits really well in my hand. I do have larger hands, so my pinky is usually hanging off on the bottom of the camera itself. But when I have the cage on it, it sits nicely right there and I get a little bit better grip. If you're not somebody who has large hands, you're not gonna really care about that. Even if I wasn't using the cage, I'd still be okay with this because I did shoot with it without a cage for a while. The autofocus on this is also really good. It's not the most up-to-date autofocus that Sony offers. They do technically have a better autofocusing system on, say, the Sony a7C Mark II, where it has AI autofocus and you can track cars, which is normally what I am shooting, but this still has a great autofocus and I can still get really good panning shots of the cars as they're going past me. I just use the large tracking spot option on it. I don't need it to detect cars. I can just have it track itself. So it's really not that big a deal, but the autofocus on this is amazing and I never have issues with it, especially when it comes to focus breathing or when it comes to shooting videos. It's able to lock onto something and focus very efficiently. I also really like how it has a flip out articulating screen. Now, when I originally was going to buy this, I wanted to own this Sony a7 III because it was such a great camera and a lot of people use it for a long time. But when they announced the a7 IV and the fact that I was gonna have this flipping and articulating screen, I was like, I'm gonna wait. Just for that alone, this was awesome to have. It doesn't tilt or anything like the Sony a7R V does, but it does flip out, it does articulate, and it is a really good LCD back screen. The viewfinder is also a really awesome viewfinder. Now, I came from a DSLR camera, a really old Nikon, and I've never experienced electronic viewfinders, but when I put my eye out to this viewfinder, I was completely blown away. I don't know the exact specs on it as far as how many million dots are on the screen, but if that's something you're interested in, I'm just gonna put it up on screen for you because I didn't write it down. For me, it's more about the actual user experience itself. The things that you see on paper with cameras is all very similar, but when it comes to real world experience, I've shot tens of thousands of photos on this. I think I'm almost to the maybe 50, 60,000 photo mark on this in the last 2 years. And I've done a lot of motorsport work with this as well, which it does keep up pretty well with it. I also really do love the customizable function buttons on this. It's very easy to change the buttons on it to whatever it is that you want it to be. I even do it on the lens itself, which is right here. I have a button where I can customize it to do what I want it to do. And just having that ability to quickly switch between certain settings or to turn settings on and off is very nice to have. And this just makes the whole experience much better. Another reason why I really love the Sony a7 IV is its versatility when it comes to its lens ecosystem. And I think a lot of people will agree with this, that the amount of third-party lenses you have available on Sony cameras in general is just by far the best out of all of the different camera brands that you can have. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get some comments in the comment section down below about how you can get third-party lenses for all these other cameras. That is not what I'm debating. I am simply debating the fact that Sony uses the same exact mount for all of their cameras. I used to own a Canon 80D, I own a Nikon D3400, and having different mounts between all your cameras gets nauseating and also makes it much harder for lens manufacturers to keep up with all your mounts. I was looking between this camera and the Canon R6 Mark II as my hybrid camera, And the ultimate reason why I went with the Sony is because I didn't have to buy RF lenses, which there's not a lot of them out there, and they're also all very expensive. And I do like cheaper lenses. So let's just put it that way. So this is a Sigma 24-70 lens. I haven't made a review on this yet, but I do have a video that you can go watch where I talk about this as the best budget lens along with other budget lenses that you can get. And a lot of those, if not all of them, are usable on the Sonys. Now, there are a lot of things I do love about the Sony a7 IV, but before I give my final thoughts on it, I do want to go over the things I don't like about it. Because let's be honest, it is not the perfect camera. When it comes to video shooting, you are able to shoot a 4K 60 frames per second. However, you do have a 1.5 times crop factor added into it. So if you're using a full frame lens like a 24-70, you do have to take that into consideration. If you do want to shoot a 4K 60, it can be a benefit to some, especially if you use smaller lenses. This may be a downside for a lot of people. Personally, I shoot everything in 4K 30 for social media, for YouTube, so I don't really have a problem with it. And even if I did shoot in 4K 60, I just take a few steps back, I'm completely fine. So it is a con to think about. There are newer cameras that do shoot in 4K 60 with no crop. Now, the next thing I've noticed about this camera, especially when it comes to fast panning shots, there is a rolling shutter. Now, the rolling shutter isn't necessarily a big deal for me because I primarily shoot photos, but for videos, if you were to turn it back and forth really fast, you are able to see the rolling shutter. It just depends on your use case. It's really not that big of a deal, but it is something to consider. What else do I not like about it? There's really not a whole lot that I don't like about it, the menu. So if I want to get to a setting on this, it takes me a lot more time than I think it should in order to get to that, especially if I'm on the fly trying to get things done. So it's important to keep in mind where everything is on the menu system, but they also do have a favorite section. So you can just favorite all the things that you normally use anyways, or you do also have the customizable buttons if you have frequently used settings that you want to swap out. And because I do motorsport photography here and there, I do have a problem with the frames per second being 10, especially shooting uncompressed RAW. I want to get as many pictures as possible. It does do the job. However, if I were to do a paid gig for a racing team, this camera would get the job done. However, I think I would struggle with it because there's a lot of missed shots when I'm doing the panning. And this last con is more subjective. It depends on your situation. I do find that this is a very heavy investment to make. This is not just a camera that you can go out and just buy just for fun. Like, this is an actual investment. And if you want to buy this right now, I believe it's still $24.99. And it is a very expensive camera body, but it's not only that, the lens, if I were to have the Sony G Master Mark II version of the 24-70, I believe it's also like $24.99. So it is a very heavy investment to make into a camera, which is why I don't recommend buying a camera like this unless you're trying to become more of a professional photographer. But that's just more of my thing because I like to try and save as much money as possible. But when I bought this camera, I told myself, like, this is gonna be the only camera I use for a very long time, and I'm going to be more active in photography and in content creation. And it's definitely served me really well. Now, there wasn't a lot of cons that I've added to this list. I'm sure there are other ones that people will probably let me know about, but these are just from my personal experience. I still think this camera is a very solid hybrid camera, and this is gonna serve me for a long time. I've seen people use the Sony a7 III for 5+ years. I definitely see myself using this for more than 5 years. And even if I were to get another camera, I would probably still use this as a backup camera because it's just so useful, it's so versatile that there's no reason to not have it. If you are somebody who wants to shoot 4K 60 or even 4K 120, this is not the camera for you because 4K 60, you're gonna have the crop factor. It does not do 4K 120, it does do 1080p 120. This is, again, supposed to be a hybrid camera. It's supposed to be good at photos and good at video, but it's not meant to be perfect at either one of them. If you want something that's more photocentric, you need to get the Sony a7R V, which is the newest one, or if you want to do something more video-centric, you can go with the Sony a7S III, which is their most recent one. The R is for the photography, the S is for the videos, or if you want to do more cinematic stuff on the video side, you can go with the FX lineup, which is the FX30, the FX3, the FX6, and the FX2, which is brand new. You also have their flagship cameras, which is the Alpha 1 and the Alpha 9, I believe. Those are the two. So those are more flagship. I do professional motorsport photography. I get, you know, really good paying gigs. That's way above my tax bracket. But the Sony a7 IV from a prosumer level, this is a really good hybrid camera. And there are a couple other hybrid cameras out there that I would probably contend this against, but this is probably gonna be the best choice in 2025. So this camera has served me really well over the last 2 years. It's grown my audience to over 150,000 followers across all my platforms. It has helped me grow as a photographer because I came from a DSLR and this was my very first full frame camera, and it was like completely restarting. I mean, if you're coming from an older camera to a full frame of any kind, it is restarting your experience as a photographer. And this really taught me how to be better at being a photographer than any other camera has for me. And it's also landed me a lot of paid opportunities that I had never thought of. And it still serves me well to this day. It normally films my YouTube videos, but right now I'm using my phone. So if there is anything that I missed about this camera from a pro perspective or from a con perspective, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Because again, this is just all based off of my own experience, but I want to hear from you. What do you like about the Sony a7 IV? What do you not like about it? Or if you're considering buying it, do you have any questions that I can help answer for you about this camera? Let me know. If you got value out of this video, please drop a like down below. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And that is all I have for now. I'll see you next time. Peace.